Hello everyone. So now I'm going to do Aretha Franklin from a Kabbalistic numerological point of view. We're going to look at her numbers. We're going to look at how those numbers line up on the Tree of Life and how that was reflected in her life. So we'll start with looking at her name. And here we have her full name, Aretha Louise Franklin, and her date of birth as 3/25/1942. The name that you come in on, the vibration of the name that you come in on, is similar to Pluto and the node, the south node especially. It is the energy that you sort of move in on. If we could liken the soul vibration, which is the vowels, when you add up the vowels, we could liken that to Pluto, and the outer personality vibration we could liken to the south node of the moon. Just loosely, nothing is hard and fast. Most of the best way to work with this is to work with the flow of it instead of the this is the rule, because you're dealing with energy, and sometimes you have to flow with that energy. I'm sorry I'm moving the camera around, but I'm trying to give you the best view. You don't necessarily have to see me, but you do have to see this, right? Okay, so let's look at her name. Her first name, of course, is Aretha, her middle name Louise, and then Franklin is her surname. If we separate out the vowels from the consonants, we get a soul vibration of a 40/4, and we get an outer personality or quiescent vibration of a 53/8. The soul vibration is what her soul has been working on for a number of lifetimes. And we have the 4 vibration as the base number here, and then we have the 4 with the 0, and of course, as I've said in other videos, the 0 energy is the God force. Okay, and so to a certain extent it brings this vibration up to almost like a master number vibration. The 40/4 is connected with the sign of Pisces. And she actually has, in her astrological chart, she has her south node in Pisces. She has her Pluto in Leo, like everybody does, who was born in 1942. The 40/4 vibration is, first of all, the 4 vibration is about building foundations. It's also about crisis. And the 40/4 is connected to the pages. It's one of the pages in the deck, and I'll show you the card, the tarot card associated with the 40/4 as soon as I can pull it out of my pile of tarot cards that I took out. Okay, here we go. This is the Page of Cups. And the Page of Cups is an interesting page. Pages are generally considered youngsters, people just starting out, people who don't have a lot of experience. But I find that the Page of Cups actually has a lot more experience than perhaps the other pages, and that's because we're dealing with the emotions in the page. And we can see here that there's this young fellow, or perhaps young girl, you can't really tell, looking into this cup, and in the cup is a little fish, and fish generally are symbolic of wisdom. And so this child can look into the eyes of the fish and see the wisdom. There's a sensitivity with this card. There's a sense of being an open book, sort of, a psychic sponge. All right, and generally, this is connected with the importance of being a daughter in this lifetime, and she certainly was the daughter to her father and her mother. But I think her father was a little bit more of an influence in her life, for good and ill, perhaps. And she was known as the daughter of her father, who was, the preacher with the golden voice. And then she herself was able to come in and sing and known as a child prodigy. And so this is a child with comes in with many talents, and also has an oceanic consciousness, which we see in the south node of her moon being in Pisces. And of course, at the beginning I said often the outer personality is connected to the south node, but we have to keep things fluid. Okay, again, it's not that you can't keep, you just have to sort of go with the energy and see in a way how it fits with each other to get the best view. The quiescent, her outer personality vibration, is an 8 vibration. It's a 53-8 vibration. And the 53-8 is connected with this card right here, which is the Knight of Swords. And the Knight of Swords is connected with the fall, the season of the fall. All the knights have to do with the action, or have to do with action of the element they represent, and swords are air. And so this is somebody who came in with a sense of right and wrong, a sense of justice, but also somebody who was willing to sort of jump into the fray, perhaps without thinking about it. However, because the vibration is an 8 vibration, there's always karma associated. So even if you jump into something when you have this vibration, you reap the karma of that choice. And so as you move through this vibration and get better acquainted with this vibration, you become much more circumspect about what phrase you're going to jump into. But there's definitely a fighting spirit with this person. And the outer personality or talents and abilities that we bring from past lives. And so she had a talent for being willing to sort of go out there and put herself out there. And this is connected to the heart chakra. And so she was heart-centered, really, coming out and moving out into the world. The 8 is also a vibration of a good manager, so she was conscious of managing her resources. We would see that in the 8. If we take both those numbers together and we add them up, we get something called her expression number. And her expression number is how she was able to balance that rather sensitive inside with that rather warlike and brave warrior spirit from the outside. And she did that through this vibration, the 12-3 vibration, which is the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man requires us to look at things from a different perspective. It also has the base number of 3, which is the number of creativity. So she did use her creativity to help to balance her herself as a soul and as a personality. The 12/3 is connected to the sign Neptune. To the planet Neptune. And Neptune is associated with Pisces. Again, her south node, and Pisces is connected with music. And so we can see that music was very therapeutic for her, as her music was therapeutic for us. And so this is how she acquired the balance that she needed. The Hanged Man also deals with the Serenity Prayer, knowing what you can affect and affecting it, and knowing what you can't and surrendering to it. This is also a card of connecting with cosmic consciousness. That's what this guy is doing right here. That's why he has a halo around his head. And so there are things when you have this vibration as one of your major vibrations that you cannot affect. For whatever reason, your hands are tied behind your back, you're hung up, and you're sort of unable to change things in a way. And so you have to look at things from a different perspective, figure out what you can change it, and figure out what you can't, and accept and surrender to it. And then surrender it to Source, which is part of the journey of that card. So we have an idea of Aretha in an inner self and an outer self. Her path of life. Now your path of life is your birthday, and if we add up her birthday, we get a 44/8 vibration. And so we have another 8 vibration here. So this is somebody with some karma. This is somebody who understands and understands how to manage people, except that your life lesson is generally something that you learn from. So when you're younger, you're not that good at it. When you're older, you either master it or you don't. 8 is also a vibration of a lot of financial reward. So we can say that she mastered this vibration, and she certainly had the talent to do it. So, but there are a lot of very, very talented people that don't die with like $80 million in the bank. So, or 40, whatever it was, a lot in the bank. So, this was somebody who learned how to manage herself. Now, the 44/8 vibration is this vibration right here. It is a water vibration. It's the 4 of Cups. There is a certain amount of divine discontent here, where this person is looking down at the cups in front of them and is feeling unsatisfied. But there is spirit offering that 4th cup, and if they were to just look down, if they would just look up instead of looking down, then perhaps they would see the gifts that are being offered to them. The 44/8 vibration tends to be a vibration that works itself into a lather. So this is somebody who has to really manage their work ethic, I guess, not taking on too much all at once. She just, in her astrology chart, she has Mars conjunct Jupiter. And Mars conjunct Jupiter is often somebody who extends themselves over too much. They do too much. They get to the point where they can exhaust themselves. Now, I'm not really sure if that was true of her life and her career, but rest assured, she worked very hard. So that's very possible. So that's her path of life. And when we get to the tree of life, it'll be interesting to see where these things fall, because that's another layer of understanding of Aretha. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is her shadow vibration, and I will do that in a moment. Okay, I'm back. So your shadow vibration is the vibration we get from adding up your first name and then adding the day of your birth. And her first name vibrated to a 26. Her day of birth was the 25th, and when we add that up, we get the 51/6 vibration. And the 51/6 vibration is the vibration of the King of Swords. Okay? Now, shadow vibration is where we have been wounded. It is what we need to heal in this lifetime, and if we can heal it, it becomes the gift that we give, the pearl of wisdom, or it becomes our greatest gift to humanity. 6 as a base number for this card is about responsibility. What's our responsibility and what's not our responsibility. Because we're dealing with kings, we're dealing with the archetype of the father god, or the father. And as a shadow vibration, we can look at the more negative aspects of the King of Swords. The King of Swords can be an authoritarian, can be very strict, can be very sort of by the rules. Of course, those rules, the unnecessarily rules that are fair for everybody, but they're certainly fair for the king. There can be a mental cruelty with the sign, with this card, but definitely there is some issue here with father. And again, she was a very private person, and so I don't really know. I'm sure there's something written about it, and I'm sure people can comment on that and enlighten me. But certainly her father was both a big influence in her life and a wounding influence in her life. She would have to understand what's her responsibility in that relationship and what is not. She would have to come to terms with the fact of being wounded through the masculine energy. All right. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to look at her tree of life. And I'm going to pull that up. I'll be right back because I need to set it up so you can actually see what I wrote. I'll be right back. Okay, so here we have our tree of life right here, and one of the things you can do with the Tree of Life, besides put the numbers in the proper place, is you can overlay the chakra system on the Tree of Life. And hold on one second, I have to do something here. I missed something I noticed. I just need to grab some things here. So we can overlay the chakra system onto the Tree of Life and see what areas of life where she may have had issue, what areas of life where she to come into that were already activated for her through her soul and quiescent vibration, where she is to learn, and etc., etc. So let's start with her soul vibration, and we have her soul vibration here in Malkuth. People who have numbers in Malkuth are oftentimes famous personalities, and she certainly was a famous personality. The 40/4 especially vibration, the 4 vibration as a building vibration, could be somebody who has come in to build some sort of structure on the physical plane. Malkuth is connected to the root chakra and is connected to the earth, so it is the place that we manifest upon. And these people are empire builders. Okay, 40/4 empire builders. There are a couple of other famous people who have 40/4 there. Donald Trump, I think it's his path of life. P. Diddy has it there. The guy who did the juicy stuff, I can't think of his name right now. It's escaping me. Has a 40/4. But these people generally create some sort of empire on the planet, and that's her soul vibration. So she's been an empire builder before. One of the things that having a number in Malkuth does make you acquainted with is the idea of victimizer. And so here's somebody who understands what it's like to be a victim, and the fact that she's a daughter, and the 40/4 being a daughter vibration, and then the idea of victim. It is very possible that she was victimized as a child, as a daughter, as a girl. She did have babies at 12 and 14, which is very young, even for 1940s, the 1940s South for a black girl. It's still a little young. It might have been culturally acceptable, but probably not emotionally healthy. Okay, so that's her soul vibration. Her quiescent is up here, the 53/8. Remember, that's the manager. It's also the person who, the warrior. She has that warrior nature, that Knight of Swords energy. That I'll pull up right there, the quiescent. And it's in her heart chakra. And so this is somebody who knows how to express themselves from their heart, knows and is in their heart. Okay, so here's a woman who's in her heart and has her feet firmly on the ground due to her soul vibration and her quiescent vibration. And then if we take those two vibrations and add them together, and we get her expression, which is how she attains balance in her life, we have the expression right here. Okay, and the expression vibration connects the Sephiroth of Hod with the Sephiroth of Geburah. Geburah is associated with the planet Mars, and Hod is associated with the planet Mercury. So we have Mercury here, we have Mars here. In her astrological chart, she has Mercury in Pisces conjunct her South Node, and her Mars is in Gemini, which is also a Mercury ruled sign, and she has her Mars square the nodes of her moon. So this would have been a challenge for her. Her Mars energy is a challenge for her, as was her Jupiter energy, square the nodes of the moon, and I believe it was only those two. And so she would have had to if we hang the hangman upside down here, we can see that his feet are in the higher realms and his head is in the lower realms here, right? Mercury. This is about understanding from a different perspective, for sure. Okay. Her path of life, the 44/8. The 44/8 is that Four of Cups vibration, a little divine discontent, perhaps. Perhaps discontent with the divine. She did go from being a gospel singer to a pop singer, and that's when she really took off. But here we have this in the place on the Tree of Life called Hesed. Hesed is associated with the planet Jupiter. She had Jupiter square the nodes, remember, in her astrological chart. And this is part of the two Sephiroth and the path that make up the throat chakra. And so really, in this lifetime, she came in to have her voice heard and to speak her truth. And we certainly, as I sit here with chills, and I'm not even listening to her music, know that her voice was heard. And it was an emotional hearing. 44/8 is emotions. It's actually connected with the sign of Cancer. And she had her moon in Cancer in the 8th house in her chart. And so her emotions were deep, her emotions were full of pain, her emotions were full of the chance for redemption. Okay. And then lastly, I want to talk about her shadow vibration, which is up here in a place on the Tree of Life called Hokmah. Hokmah is connected to the divine masculine, and so often if you have a shadow in Hokmah, you have an issue either with men, the masculine energy, God, the Father God, or your own father. And it is in the third eye. And so when you have a shadow in your third eye, you can be blind to certain things you don't want to look at or don't want to see, because the base number here is the number of responsibility and the number of love. Perhaps there was confusion as to what really love was and what her responsibilities in love was and love was not. Again, I don't know her personal story because she was so private. And so this, whether or not this was able to be healed, would probably be something that those people closest to her might be more aware of. But me, as an outside observer of her life, I don't really have any idea. I just, I hope so. When you have shadow or blockages in your third eye, you can have issues with things like migraines and headaches and vision problems and such. She did end up dying of pancreatic cancer. Actually, pancreatic cancer is down in here in the solar plexus area. And so I don't see anything going on as far as the numbers that she came in with that. Alright, there's just a couple of other things that I want to talk about as far as with a little number play. And then we can wrap up Aretha.